Good morning. Today is the 6th of February 2024 and I'm going to go through my trade plan for today. Just before we start, like always, we will check to see what upcoming news will affect the market. And there's not any major news today, but we've got quite a few Fed speakers today, 12, 1, 2. And there is some minor news coming out at 10 AM, so just keep an eye on those times. Okay, on my screen is the ES chart or the MES chart. I'm trading the MES, that's the one I normally trade, but it's exactly the same as the ES, just 5 times smaller. And we are looking at the 1 hour time frame. So before we start, let's go to the higher time frame and just see where we are. So you see we've got all-time highs coming into 5,497.75. Not quite there yet. So I'm using 5,000 as a potential rejection area. And looking at level 2, we don't have many sellers sitting on that area at the moment. 49.95 is an area to watch for as a potential area sellers. And I'm sure as the market opens we'll get a few more sellers come into that area looking to come out of their trades. I see it one of either two ways really. Either people are looking to short sell 5,000 for the rejection, or anybody long will be looking to come out at 4,000 at 5,000, as it's a psychological number as well and a round number. And also we've had the market just going sideways a couple of inside days the last few days, and anyone long will probably be getting a little bit anxious and looking to get out before we start seeing a bit of a pullback. So that's kind of why I'm watching 5,000 as a potential rejection area. With probably lots of other people. So volume wise, on a daily, we had that big red down candle, which was a nice, at the time was a good sign that we're looking at a reversal. And then we had the total opposite candle next day, turnaround candle, which broke up above the lows, put in a new all-time high at the time, and then on the same amount of volume, we've had a few narrow range candles as well, and reducing volume slightly yesterday. A hammer candle at the end of a range can show a sign of weakness, so maybe we're looking for a little bit of tiredness around that area, and maybe we might be looking for a bit of a pullback. We are a bit extended as well from the 20 and from the 50 and from the 200, so a pullback is on the cards, but when it happens we can wait for it to come out. But saying that, we're still in an uptrend and my bias is slightly bullish, so I'll be looking for more uptrend entries and reversals, rejections. So let's take a look at the 1 hour chart. So you can see this lovely wedge formed over the last few days. So I've been watching, keep an eye on that, just linked out, was that Fridays and Mondays highs and lows, and yesterday's highs and lows, almost perfectly formed. We're seeing a bit of a breakout in the pre-market now, so that goes with my bullish sentiment, and what I'm watching for is a break and retest over the pre-market high, which is 49.7150. That area there, I want it to break, come back, retest to continue the trend long. If it comes back and retests this wedge trend line, then I'll be looking for a possible entry there, as long as it's above all the hourly moving averages. It's got to be above the 50 and it's got to be above the 20. So the 50 is what I'll be watching for, and that's to continue the trend. If we do go long, we've got potential resistance at yesterday's high, 49.77. and that's a potential rejection, high risk rejection, or it's a break and retest long. So if we're long from here, good opportunity to add, and we'll be targeting all-time highs and 5,000. So 5,000 will be my out if I do take the long trade. Okay, so we're coming into pre-market highs right now, so we want to see it break and retest that area. I may consider taking a trade in the pre-market if it does break. That'd be higher risk, so it'd be half the size. As for a pullback, I'm going to be watching a potential bounce off of this trend line, and we've got high volume in that area as well, concentrated volumes that acts as another area of support, and we've got a little bit of well, this entire area is a big area of a high volume. You can see that on this volume profile. So if we come back into this area, I'll be looking for a bit of a bounce, and on the opposite side of that, if we do break down through this wedge and we come back and retest it, potentially eye up a short trade with the first target is yesterday's low, second target will be Friday's low, and that's it. We've got the 200 moving average still rising, and that can act as an area of support as well, so keep an eye on that if we are short. And bounce wise on a pullback, I'm watching for a bounce off of yesterday's low and obviously Friday's low, so I'm kind of playing this in both directions with confirmation, either a bounce or a bounce with confirmation, or a break and retest short, but using both these levels as targets. So let's just refine that better. If we break down below this wedge, I'll be looking for a short entry with a target of yesterday's low, and then looking for a potential bounce in that area. So that's kind of two trades in one then, target and reversal for the long. And the same if we do break down through this area and I'm still holding the short, I'll be looking for a potential target, 49.29, and a bounce. So that's the two areas I'll be watching for bounces, and that will be still above the 200 moving average and with the, as you can see, a big hourly trend. And I basically want to keep the trend. I know the saying, they say the trend is your friend until it's no longer in the trend. So I want to try and look for trend entries. That's it really, that's my plan for today. I'll just check my notes. So I've got 49.7150, 49.7150, so pre-market high, break and retest, 49.50 for a bounce. So this area for a bounce, if we come off that trend line, that's what I'm watching. 49.77, reject of yesterday's highs, is that? 49.77, yeah, reject up there. But again, that's with confirmation, and if I'm long, then I'll be looking to look for an add up there, or I'll be looking to get out with confirmation and then go short. And then I think that's it. And then 49.37, looking for a bounce down here, and it's inside the demand zone as well, and it's above the 200. That's why I like the bounce rather than the break and retest more. So 4 levels with possibility of up to 8 trades or 8 potential trades, depending on whether you're watching for break and retest or continuation or adds. So that's really my plan for today for MES. Try and keep it as simple as possible. Play the levels, play the trend, play that wedge as well. SPY, you can see, is almost identical, so I won't go through that again, but I will go through the levels. So we've broken the wedge, put in a new pre-market high as well, so that changes things a little bit. So we want to find a bit of a pullback for a trend entry around 493, maybe to 494, with a target of 494.50, or an add at 494.50 area, and then we've got 496 as a target if we're long. That's all-time highs. One thing to keep an eye on is SPX as well. That, although we've got 5,000 psychological number on ES, we've got 5,000 coming up on SPX as well. So if it's most likely ES would have already gone through the 5,000 mark, but if SPX it's 5,000, then I'll be keeping an eye on that. That's why I've got an alert. Let's bring the alert down a bit. 49.96 area. So when that alert triggers, then if I'm long in any trades, I'll be looking to come out of them. So that's it for SPY. And obviously got bounces at the previous day's lows as well. Qs, bit different. Doesn't have that wedge formation, but I do quite like the breakout of all-time highs, 430, 430.20. So what I'll be looking for, and I'll probably do it on the NASDAQ futures, for a break and retest long. Maybe if it breaks out and holds above that level, I'll be looking for a small starter position before the retest. And that's the only play really. Obviously got a couple of bounces at 428 and 425 we can watch for. Nothing else. Let's look at Nasdaq next. Nasdaq, same really. We got a high at 17,793. So I don't really want to be long into that area on the Q. So I really want to see it break out over this area and retest, come back down to retest to continue the trend. So I'll keep an eye on that. Qs is looking a little bit nicer. The pattern, you know, all the highs, we're currently above the highs at the moment from that previous pivot back on the 24th, whereas the Nasdaq, we're just slightly below it. So we can. So the plan for the Nasdaq will be find a trend entry at the pre-market low area, maybe probably 17,640, and then yesterday's low is an area we don't want to get into. So let's scrap that. 17,560 for a bounce this area, so maybe up to 17,600. That's an area. Last time it came down, we had a big reaction, and we kind of touched the 200 moving average and bounced off of it. So watching that. Otherwise, a break and retest of the pre-market high, knowing that we've got a potential rejection coming up. So a short scalp, maybe a smaller position, and look for an add if we get above the all-time high. Oil, putting in a bit of a, well, you could say it's a bear flag. You could say it's starting a bit of a reversal. We had a slight, it's not very good double bottom there. Let's just zoom in a bit. Or potentially we could be looking at an inverse head and shoulders pattern. Not a very good neckline. The neckline should be about there. Plan for this. We're now above the 50 moving average for the first time in a few days. Since Wednesday last week. So you can watch for a break and retest of the pre-market high, and we've got potential resistance around 74.40 to 74.50 based on the volume profile. And if we can get through that, in fact, let's move that around there. That's, yeah, we've got this little area of supply here. If we get over 74, then we've got a potential target of 75, 71, and then that'll be around about the 200 moving average as well. We could watch there. So that's our potential area. This neckline on this head and shoulders, not a very nice head and shoulders pattern. Kind of like a mutated head and shoulders pattern, really. So target 1, target 2, target 1, target 2 I meant, or we use them as rejection levels, but this is an area to watch for rejects at 75, 75. Okay, looking at gold. Don't like this chart at all at the moment, but we look like it was starting to, if we can hold above that level, if we can break over the pre-market high and hold that level, we can look for a change with a trend reversal. We're in a slight hourly downtrend, but we're kind of hovering. So that's the only level. It needs to stay above that pivot, which is 2045, but pre-market high will be above the 50. Flat 200, not too worried about that. With a potential target coming back, we've got higher volume at 2052, the volume profile we can see with the point of control. So we've got a potential target there at 2052 if we take the pre-market high long. And obviously we've got 2056 for a second target. That's it really for gold. Bounce wise, if we can get back down to yesterday's low, I quite like that area. You can see, let's just draw we bounced, so we broke through, kind of played on that area, we bounced again down that area for over a couple of days, and then we're back down there again. Not as much volume as we saw here, but there's definitely volume down there, so keep an eye on that for a bounce, and that's at 2032. The Russell 2000 still in a downtrend. We can draw this line in here. Around about there. No long until we can break through this trend line and hold it and then push up. So maybe we can use the pre-market high as an area to go long. That's 1950. And that's the only place really. We've got a bit of a void up. Volume wise, we don't come into volume until we get all the way up to 1995, this area here. And we've got the downward curve in 200 moving average at 1980. So potential target if we go long at 1980. And that happens to be a nice area here of confluence. So that entire area there. And we've got a bit of volume in that area as well. So break and retest of pre-market high. And we have to break this downward trend line. Knowing we've got a potential bit of resistance overhead, so this is a level we've identified, so we could watch that as a potential target or a rejection area. So we have to keep an eye on that if we're long. That's it really, nothing really more. If we can get above this area, then we've got to get through all of this, which we can, and like I said, we've got the target of 1985, 1980. And then we'll look at the Dow Jones Industrial. This is the YM. Let's go back again for a second. Something I wanted to mention. Yesterday we said this line might be significant, this area, and I just realised as I was flicking the chart, we came into this area quite perfectly, rejected it. So hopefully someone picked up that level for the short down. Was that 1955? That level's been in place for a few days, and obviously we'll see, it might come back into play again today, so keep an eye on that. So back into the Dow Jones. Bit of volume down here, so we can watch for a potential bounce if we come back down into this area. So 38 to 37. Potentially yesterday's low, we can watch for a bounce. So this entire area is zone, quite a big area, it doesn't move, it may not move that far. But then we've got pre-market highs just immediately above where we are now, so a break and retest of that pivot there, pre-market high with a target of yesterday's high. And we've got the 50 moving average curving around as well, so I quite like that area here, pre-market high. Slow moving stock, so maybe, or slow moving future, so maybe the breakout, you can just take one and then it pulls back, add another, and then you've got your defined stop then as the just below the consolidation we're seeing in this hour. So I'm sure we're looking at 5 minute. So stop will be the break of the 8 moving average if we can break above the pre-market high. That pivot there. I think that's it. Let's just quickly look at Bitcoin, see where that got today. Not doing much, still going sideways as it's done for the last few days. I thought it was going to break down below. It looked pretty weak when it came down over below this level, and obviously it's resurged again. If we can hold above the 50, we can look for longs. If it stays below the 50, well, we could be just retesting, breaking down, come back into the retest. We can look for ads. I'll be looking for ads for I've got a very small position, and I'm looking at 32,000 as a potential ad, and then back onto the day. Oh, this is the daily. Yeah, so 32,000. it's the area I really want to watch around that area. Let's just put my level in there. And you can see it's an area of confluence as well, so hopefully we could see it bounce. So potential entry or add, and then target wise we've got this target here we've touched, and then we've got this target here. I've got an alert on at 52,000, and then we're coming into this area here which is 60,000. So not looking too bad, but it doesn't look, looks like it wants to pull back down a bit, but hopefully it doesn't. But if it does, then we've got a good area, 32,000 for an add or a entry. And then before we go, let's just go back through MES, see if there's any change in the last few minutes. Coming up to the pre-market highs now. So if I were to find an entry, look for a break and retest of this pivot basically, and we've been grinding up since 7:30, small slow grinds. So see what, I'm not going to do it right now until the market opens, but we want to see it push up, come back down, find an entry, maybe even come back down to this trend line down here, and then for the move up. That's kind of what I'm watching for today. Target 1, yesterday's high. Quite a lot of volume around there. So bear in mind, if we do pull back, we've got this point of control going right through 49.68. So that could be a potential area. You can see it bounce. You can see it's been significant in places before. So that's where the volume is. So it could be orders sitting down here ready to buy. So let's just revise that slightly. Watching 49.67 for a potential bounce. Let's just put my level in there as well. So if we do break, that's the retest area I'm waiting for. If we don't, if we're going to break and retest and pull right back. There's nothing else really. Watching a bounce from the bottom of this trend line as well, or if it breaks through, a break and retest short. But we've invalidated this trend line now based on these, because we've broken it through. So we really want to see it come back down to this area to continue the trend up. That's it. Hopefully you liked the video, and I'll be back to do my trade recap later. Okay, appreciate your time.